we find people who are making an awesome wildlife effort and show you how you can live a life inspired by what they're doing. Our guest today is Alex Beard. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see you, man.
So tell us, where did you get started?
Okay, so when I was a teenager, I spent my summers in Africa because I have an uncle who had a ranch there, and so I fell in love with wild places, the people that inhabit them, and the animals that flourish there. And I've been an artist since I could remember, and so then I wanted to study some of that too. I went to boarding school here in the US, and then I went to Tufts University, and I studied at the School and Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, at the New York Studio School, and then what brought me here to New Orleans was to go study at the New Orleans Academy of Fine Arts. If you stand in the same spot for long enough, the vines grow up through your toes, and I like that kind of place.
And the art district didn't used to exist 40, 50 years ago here where you are now in the warehouse district.
I'm very happy here on Julia Street. I've got a gallery which shows what I make and a studio here where I can make what I show, so it works nicely. The connection of Africa and what I make and what I sell and how New Orleans fits into that balance of man and nature is that I am interested in the way in nature that things intrinsically move. And those systems that reveal themselves to the structure of a composition are mirrored in nature. So, right? So as a result, I'm going into nature to observe the intrinsic balance of the system to then be able to bring that back into my artwork. So over the course of a lifetime of 30 odd years of traveling back and forth to Africa, I've been a first-hand witness to the changes, and most of them not good. And also, by being somebody who's lived in New Orleans now for 25 years, I've also been a witness to the changes here. And I don't mean inside of the city, but I mean around us.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you know, you look at where there used to be land versus where there now isn't.
Coastal erosion.
Coastal erosion being the top of that list. And the battle between consumption and conservation, between commerce and balance and harmony with the natural world. And we are having the same struggles here.
And one of your films I just watched is fabulous, where you're actually painting throughout your trip.
Yeah.
And I believe you call that abstract naturalism?
Yeah, the work that I make, I call abstract naturalism, and it started, frankly, because I needed something I could tell people at a cocktail party about what I made. One of the things that I do is when I go to Africa, I go track elephants on foot, I go on long camel safaris, I disappear off into the bush, trying to go find the things that I'm talking about. And I do, and I bring paint and canvas with me on the camels, and off we go, and then I make art there, and then when the work is done, I bring it back and I put it either here in New Orleans or at an exhibition. I'll be doing a show in New York in the fall that'll have the work that I make this summer on my trips in it. And then I earmark paintings for conservation, right? So I'll sell a big painting and I'll take that money and I'll give it back to the communities in East Africa that are protecting the wilderness areas that I like to go stomp around in, right? I mean, so some of it's very personal because I want those places to be preserved, but some of it is much more holistic, as in the world needs all of us to do something, and this happens to be the thing that I can do. I'm interested in Africa, I'm interested in being in nature, I make paintings that people like, and so as a result, I can go to Africa, I can be in situ, I can make art, I can bring it back, I can sell it to the people who want my work, and then that can feed the conservation.
Great conduit.
It's a circle.
Now, in that line, I believe someone named Anna has reached out to you to be a conduit.
That's right. So Anna Finger is her name, and she is 12 years old and a 7th grader at Newman School uptown. And she saw a film of mine and about elephant conservation, and she said, oh, I really want to help out and I want to help save the elephants, and what can I do? I gave her an internship for a year, and this for the Watering Hole Foundation, for my public charity that raises money for these causes. So we've helped her to create something which she calls Anna for Elephants. And during the second weekend of Jazz Fest, on Esplanade, right outside the fairgrounds, we will, all of us with Anna, be making a life-size papier-mâché elephant.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, out of 35,000 sheets of newspaper, which is one for every elephant poached this year.
I find that there's a connection with the younger children about elephants.
You know, children, and it's not just elephants, yes, that exists, but I think it's about the larger context of the environment, right? The millennials, who are older than what we're talking about, have become so disillusioned and disenfranchised already that in some ways they've lost the momentum of their generation for what they can do to affect change. But kids that are the cycle younger than that, who are, as you say, middle schoolers and even younger, they have not yet lost their verve. Nobody has told them yet that they can't. And so as a result, they are also smart enough, because of all the exposure that they have, to know that things are going to hell in a handbasket. So they want to do something about it. And frankly, it's very hard to say no to a 12-year-old with a cause.
Absolutely.
And so they're learning very early that if they activate, that they can affect change. And so yes, I think that they realize that there's a crisis, and the crisis is for elephants, but it's much more than just for elephants. That's an obvious one, right? Because they're so iconic.
They're the largest, yes,
it's so iconic,
They're
right?
symbolic, really.
Who doesn't love an elephant? But it's 25,000 species on the planet that are in the endangered species list in varying degrees. 40% of all life on the planet say poof, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
so these kids get that, and they want to be able to do something about it.
Now, you've written books.
I've written a number of books, yeah. I did a trilogy of illustrated books, which I both wrote and illustrated, called Tales from the Watering Hole, which is The Jungle Grapevine and Monkey See, Monkey Draw and Crocodile's Tears, which are all set in a fictional watering hole in Africa that is a composite of places that I've been. And they're parable-based stories like, Aesop's fables.
I recruited you this year to march in a parade as an elephant.
Eat a peanut, save an elephant. Eat a peanut, save an elephant.
And I don't know if you know, but you went viral. Over 1 million people saw you throwing a peanut throughout the country. There was a video happened to be made while we were marching. Did they respond well on St. Charles Avenue as you were giving that message?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the rub here, right? Which is that everybody wants to be participant, and everybody loves elephants in this case, right? So it's an easy sell. Right? I mean, you go around dressed like an elephant through the middle of Mardi Gras, throwing peanuts at people with a smile on your face, and they all respond in kind. Right? I mean, that's one of the deals, which is that we all do it together or none of us at all. And Mardi Gras is an experience where everybody is in it together, whether you're in the parade or on the sidelines. It's all a communal deal.
Or they would come up and say, what is this about? They wanted to know more, and there you have an audience, a captive audience of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yes.
Getting the message.
And a participant audience, that's part of it, which is, it's not just watching something on a television screen, not just reading a news release full of bad information, bad facts, scary things, depressing things, but rather it's a celebration of each other and our ability to move great things forward in a subtle way, right? I mean, doing this thing during Mardi Gras doesn't solve the environmental global crisis, but it, as a piece to a much larger puzzle, is the way that these things actually work.
Absolutely,
yes.
Right?
So you got to put them in context, but the context's great.
There are a lot of college kids that come down here, and they're having a good time, but they also are taking that in. They're seeing that, and there was a reach out from people from Virginia, Florida, that were at Mardi Gras thinking there's a way to get involved with this.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, this isn't a local issue.
No,
so
it's a global issue, really.
Yeah, it's a global issue.
Alex, I really want to thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.